Hey guys, OCP Communications, and welcome to my review of Hard Target. This is the theatrical cut, and I'm also going to be giving my thoughts on the uncut version of the film. So you get two reviews for the price of one, which is free because I'm not paying. You don't have to pay anything to see these videos. But what I'm talking about is I'm going to review this theatrical cut, and then I'm also going to review the uncut version. So I'm going to give two ratings for both versions of Hard Target. Now, Hard Target is a film that I'd heard about. I'd seen some clips. I'd maybe seen one other time before I watched it again. So I'm not really. This is another John Woo flick, like Hard Boiled. Well, at least I saw this before I. At least I saw this before I watched it again. I never saw Hard Boiled until recently. That I'm not really super familiar with. I grew up watching Broken Arrow. That's the one that I really watched a lot because it was the first John Woo film I ever saw. So, Hard Target is a flick I've seen a few times, like maybe one or two other times before I just recently saw it. So it doesn't really have, I don't really have that connection with it that I do with some of, for example, Broken Arrow. But I still really enjoyed it. The theatrical cut is a lot of fun. It's really fast paced. It's an hour and 37 minutes. It's got a lot of action, a lot of fun to it, and I'd never even heard of an uncut version until I heard about an uncut version from a good friend of mine, Matt, Rambo After Life, told me about this uncut work print version and showed it to me one day, and I was like, what? Why the fuck was this shit cut out? And then I saw the uncut version, and I was like, man, this uncut version is about as badass as Hard Boiled. Like, what the fuck? Why? Why was this cut? And then I find out news that the MPA asked John Woo, when John Woo finished the film Hard Target, the original cut, it was rated NC-17, and he was talking to the MPA like, okay, what should I do? And the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of Assholes, ass faces, they pretty much didn't even tell John Woo what needed to be cut. So John Woo went and cut the film 6 separate times and cut a bunch of shit out, and this is what the result was. This movie was cut to shreds. If you've ever seen the uncut version, this version doesn't suck, but it's not nearly as awesome as the uncut version. The one thing the theatrical version has over the uncut version, two things: better picture quality, and a second thing is a better end fight with Lance Henriksen and Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's it. Everything else in the uncut version is better. Van Damme's voice is better. Van Damme's voice acting sounds more natural in the uncut work print version than it does in the theatrical version. In the theatrical version, you can tell it's overdubbed, and it's really obvious. His accent comes and goes in the theatrical version. There's other stuff that's added in the uncut version, like Yancy Butler's character. She has a little bit of it's a love making scene with Chance, Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's a more violent opening where you have the Vietnam vet Bender, who is Douglas Bender, who is Yancy Butler's character's father, and he's being hunted down by Fushan, played by Lance Henriksen, and all of these other, the people who have paid for the experience to hunt him down. And it's a lot more violent. Instead of just getting shot with one arrow, he actually gets shot with multiple arrows, and actually he fights back. Why the fuck was this? There was a scene literally where Douglas, he fights back. Yeah, Douglas Bender fights back by taking a gasoline can and lighting it. It's leaking gas, so he lights it. So he finds a way to throw it into something. I think it was light it on fire and blow up some guys. So it actually shows him fighting back, and that's not that violent. That's not bloody. That's not gory. There's no reason for that scene to be cut out at all. Not for the running time, not for anything. Just because John Woo just cut it out, I guess, because The MPA were a bunch of assholes and never told him what he should cut out. So he just said, oh, okay, I'll cut this out. And that just doesn't, it's lame. And when you watch the uncut version, you're like, this was NC-17? This movie would be rated R nowadays easily. Face Off has just about as much blood hits, squibs, and blood hits, you know, and a dude with blood pouring out of his neck. And that was rated R. But Hard Target in 93, no, we can't. No, that's too violent. That's too much. Fucking assholes. Fuck the MPAA. They get mad and get in a hissy fit if a neck snap is too loud. Or, God forbid, there's violence in an action movie. Or, you know, that Sin City 2 poster, it showed a little bit of a boob. That's too much. Nipples, we can't handle it. People's heads will explode if they see one little nipple. Fuck the MPA. Fuck them. Fuck them. Anyway, the film is actually... So I'll go back into more comparisons between the theatrical and the uncut version a little bit later. I'm going to talk about a little bit about the development of the film and pre-production and so forth. Talk about the cast. Then I'm going to talk about the film itself. The plot's really simple, so it's not going to take that long to go through the plot. Pretty much the plot is a rendition of The Most Dangerous Game, which is a plot that's been used a lot at different times, in a lot of different movies. But anyway, after making Hard Boiled in Hong Kong, director John Woo decided to take an offer to work in the United States, where he would find himself as happier as a filmmaker with a preferable work pace and working with more reasonable hours. Woo was first offered this job in the United States by Universal Pictures chairman Tom Pollock after he had seen Woo's film The Killer. Universal was not eager to have Woo direct an entire feature, and only agreed after what producer James Jacks called a difficult period of convincing. Universal was worried about having an Asian director on set who had limited command of English on a large-scale project. They hired American director Sam Raimi to oversee the film's production and have him on standby if Woo was not able to fulfill his role as a director. Raimi was very excited to work with Woo as he was a fan of his Hong Kong films. Raimi was also confident in Woo's directorial skills, stating that Woo at 70% is still going to blow away most American action directors working at 100%. True. On his arrival in the United States, Woo went through several scripts before deciding on Hard Target. Describing the scripts he received, Woo stated that some of them were good, some of them were very good, but the rest were simply martial arts movies, and I told producers that I had no interest in doing those kinds of films anymore. I'd done a lot of them already. One of the scripts offered to Woo at this period was to Face Off, which he turned down at the time, turned off by the science fiction aspect of the story. The script for Hard Target was written by Chuck Pfarrer. Director Andrew Davis was interested in the script, but he ultimately turned it down. Woo read Pfarrer's script for Hard Target, appreciating that it was a simple but powerful story with a lot of feeling underneath it. For a good action film, you need a solid structure. Chuck gave me that. Woo also stated that the story is less John Woo, but the visual aspect would be very John Woo. Pfarrer wrote the script originally basing it on the film The Naked Prey. After the script did not turn out, Pfarrer worked on a script influenced from Aliens and became the basis for his comic Virus. The final attempt was a script based on The Most Dangerous Game. Pfarrer had the story take place in New Orleans to give an explanation of Jean-Claude Van Damme's accent. Before any director was attached to Hard Target, Universal Pictures saw the film as a potential vehicle for actor Jean-Claude Van Damme. Van Damme had already been a huge fan of Woo's films and arranged to meet with him in Hong Kong, where the two got along despite Woo and Van Damme's difficulty with their English. Woo originally wanted actor Kurt Russell for the lead role, but found Russell to be booked for 2 years with other film projects. On working with Van Damme, Woo stated that he was sure of my own abilities, and I know how to make an actor look good on screen to make him look like a hero, and I thought I could do the same for Van Damme. Despite early misgivings with Van Damme, Woo changed the many action scenes in the film to make them more spectacular on finding that Van Damme was up for it. While working with Van Damme, Woo stated that Van Damme had a pretty big ego, but he's still professional and always tries to do a good job. Woo had some control over the film's casting, including minor characters and finding a cinematographer. Actress Yancy Butler was cast as Natasha Binder in her feature film debut. The role led Butler to other starring roles in action films such as Drop Zone and Fast Money. Actor Lance Henriksen accepted the role of Emil Fuchon, stating he was a great fan of Woo, noting that his earlier films were so creative, so balletic, and had this incredible philosophy in them. The violence is only a container for the philosophy. And I always found that's crazy. Kurt fucking Russell was Wu's original choice for Chance Boudreaux in Hard Target. And I just don't know how Kurt Russell would do it. I mean, it wouldn't be as spectacular in terms of the action scenes. I'd be lying if I wouldn't see a movie directed by John Woo starring Kurt Russell. I would see that action movie. I would. But Van Damme just can do things that Kurt can't. Kurt can't do the high kicks. Kurt can't do martial arts. So it'd be more of like a slugger punching, bar brawl type fighting style. And probably have more shootouts to make up for the fact that he doesn't really have any martial arts skills. But it still would have been interesting. But Kurt Russell was busy, so went with Van Damme. And actually, despite what Wikipedia or IMDb might say, that Woo never wanted to work with Van Damme again because didn't work well together. That's not true, because John Woo talks a lot of good things about Van Damme, and most recently, he said he was one of the best parts of Expendables 2, and he'd love to work with him again. So, whatever IMDb is putting on their trivia section is full of shit. Anyway, Hard Target has 74 days of production time and was shot on location in New Orleans, including scenes shot in the French Quarter. Hard Target was put on a tight schedule by Universal that allowed only 65 days of shooting time. This put a lot of pressure on Woo. Woo was also pressured by Universal to tone down the violence and body count that he had seen in his Hong Kong films. As Woo had not mastered the English language yet, it took time for the cast and crew to get used to working with him. When Woo could not explain that he wanted what he wanted with the shot to cinematographer Russell Carpenter, he would resort to simple statements such as, "This will be a Sam Peckinpah shot," to get his message across to Carpenter. Actor Lance Henriksen recalled that it was a gradual process to let everyone involved to start seeing the film as a John Woo film rather than a Jean-Claude Van Damme film. Producer James Jacks recalled that Woo was not the most powerful person on the set as far as I was concerned, but he was certainly the most respected. The weapon fire on the set was considered dangerous, which led the crew to build a new bulletproof plexiglass shield that could be bolted to the camera. The shield was useful particularly for one scene in Hard Target, where Van Damme empties a magazine of ammo into the camera. These camera dollies were nicknamed by the crew as the Woo Woo Choo Choo. Russell Carpenter found difficulty in filming the huge gunfight scenes. Carpenter specifically noted the Mardi Gras parade warehouse by recollecting that just the lighting for a space like that, with all those strange shapes and shadows, was difficult enough, but John then added further complication of wanting the scene shot from several angles at once, often with more than one of the cameras moving. Producer James Jacks supported this style of filming, finding it the most economical way to shoot these types of action scenes. The film was edited by Bob Borowski on the set using a state-of-the-art computerized editing unit that allows the user to edit the film as the movie was being shot. The film was then scored by Joram Ravel, who utilized Kodo drummers from Japan. Woo was contractually obligated to release an R rating by Universal Pictures. When submitting to the film the Motion Picture Association of Assholes, it was judged as too violent and intense for an R rating and received an NC-17 rating. Woo re-edited the film 6 times for the MPAA as they never indicated what specific scenes they found objectionable. During this editing period, Van Damme replied that people pay their money to see me, not to see Lance Henriksen. Because the whole thing, Van Damme went with his own... During this editing period, Van Damme went with his own editor to make his own edit of the film. Van Damme's version excises the whole character to insert more scenes and close-ups of his character Chance. When asked about this edit, Van Damme replied, "People pay their money to see me, not to see Lance Henriksen." And it's kind of an asshole thing, but I don't mind it. I really don't. I'm not mad at it at all, because that's true. This is a Van Damme movie, not a Lance Henriksen film. The MPA accepted the film after Woo had made 20 cuts to the film. The MPA accepted the film after Woo had made 20 cuts to the film. Scenes cut include the opening chase sequence and the Mardi Gras warehouse sequence. And yeah, seriously, the opening chase sequence is 10 times more effective in the uncut version. And the Mardi Gras warehouse scene, holy fuck. It is that badass. There's so many blood squibs, there's so many blood hits. It's so fucking epic. And then what makes it even more epic in the work print version is that you got the James Horner score from Aliens in the background while Van Damme is shooting people. It's heaven. It's an action movie lover's heaven. It's an action movie lover's dream, man. But, I wish that was in good quality and released on DVD. You could watch it. Fuck no. Of course not. Because Universal didn't give a shit about this movie, even though it did well in the box office, being the second highest grossing film release of the week at the American box office initial release on August 20th, 1993. And Hard Target also became the 49th highest grossing film in the United States in 1993, made domestic ticket sales of $32 million, and the worldwide sales were $74 million. There was a budget of $19 million, and it had a worldwide box office of $74 million. No, it wasn't a huge, enormous box office hit, but it made a profit, and it's got its fans, and I would love to see a commentary by John Woo or Van Damme or something on this DVD, but there's absolutely jack shit. Not even the featurette that's on YouTube is not even on this. And this is from Universal, who put all these, short featurettes on a lot of their other DVDs. Like, they put featurettes on Mercury Rising and stuff like that, and which I think that's a Universal flick. And of course, Daylight, and a few other movies like that. They didn't break out the collector's series for this. They did for Street Fighter, which is stupid. Anyway, so yeah, the film was pretty successful. The critics, it received mixed reviews. Siskel and Ebert said it was not very smart, it's not very original, but it's made on a well made on a technical level. The stunts are impressive. As an action film, it's well made, but it never becomes more than competent action, and I just can't recommend it for that. It's because the MPA fucked up and cut everything out. They cut a lot of scenes that made a lot of the film not just an action movie. There were shots in the uncut version that add a little bit more to the plot and the story. And I still don't think that's a good enough reason to hate an action movie. It's just an action movie. Yeah, it is. It's a fucking action movie. It's not a drama. It's not a fucking character piece. It's a fucking action movie. So what the fuck is your problem, Roger Ebert? I'm sorry. The stunts are impressive. As an action movie is well made, but never becomes more than competent action, and I just can't recommend it for that. And competent action? Bullshit. Competent action? There's action scenes in this that are 10 times better than any action scene I've seen in anything not named The Raid or Dread in the past 10 years. Give me a fucking not competent action. Even the theatrical cut, there's some badass action scenes in this. Give me a fucking break. Not competent action. Well, he says it's competent action. Well, it's more than competent. It's more than mediocre. It's more than just barely there. And then Gene Siskel gave it a thumbs down for his show, stating that John Woo is a good filmmaker. Van Damme is pretty wooden. You notice the style in the film because there's not much substance. There doesn't have to be. It's an action movie. The plot is straightforward. It's like The Most Dangerous Game. These rich asshole guys, led by Lance Henriksen and Arnold Vosloo, are setting up these homeless people, setting up these deals with these other rich guys to pay these guys money so they can hunt down human beings. And the human beings tend to be homeless people who used to be in the military in some way, shape, or form. That's it. It's The Most Dangerous Game. They're hunting after these homeless people. One of them is Yancy Butler's father, who gets killed in the beginning. She goes and looks for him. She's trying to find him. She hires Van Damme to help her find him. Of course, she finds out too late. He's dead. Her father's dead. So Van Damme, you think he would just leave, whatever, because he's a drifter guy. But no, he sticks with Yancy Butler. Van Damme has a friend who's also homeless, who ends up getting killed by the assholes, by the hunters. And I like that scene. And I like the actor, Willie C. Carpenter, who plays Elijah Roper. And what they do is they give these homeless guys a money belt with $10,000, and they ask them, and they put them in a secluded location, a special location over in New Orleans, because the film takes place in New Orleans, and they send them, and the whole idea is that they can get to this river, that they're scot-free, and they can keep the money. So, in the beginning of the film, you see that. The uncut version is better, where you have Chuck Pfarrer, actually the writer of the film, one of the writers of the film, plays the character Douglas Bender, who's being chased down by the hunters in the beginning, and he gets pumped full of more than just one arrow in the uncut version, and he actually fights back. And then you have the whole stuff where Willie C. Carpenter, Elijah, gets hunted down, and that's a really tragic scene because he fights back too. He kills the guy who paid to kill him in the graveyard, and he's running, he's wounded, and he runs literally into the middle of the street, and there's all these people, and he's like, "Help me! Help me! Help me! They're after me! They're gonna kill me! Help me!" And everyone's not doing jack shit. Everyone's like, "Get away from me, you homeless person, you freak." It's like, "Oh, you made me drop my drink, you asshole." It's like, what the fuck, you heartless bastards. You heartless bastards. Seriously. He's trying to get into an establishment that goes, "No, we're closed." And he's like, "Help me, please." And then he literally gets gunned down by Arnold Vosloo and just pumped full of so much bullets. And I think the uncut version also adds a little bit more, a few more scenes of Elijah getting pumped full of lead and just blood squibs and blood hits everywhere. And it's really sad and tragic. And it could have been, his life could have been saved if anybody in that fucking street in Mardi Gras was actually, I don't know, had a decent thought in their drunk, addled, fucking alcohol hazed brains to help this poor man. His life could have been saved, but fuck that. No. So he dies. He's Van Damme's friend, and now Van Damme is like, "All right, we're gonna find these fuckers, and I've had enough of this shit." But actually, he doesn't go after looking for them. They come looking for him because decide he's be a nice hunt. So Fouchon and company decide to hunt down Jean-Claude Van Damme, and you don't hunt what you can't kill. So that's pretty much it. Fouchon, Vosloo, they hunt down Van Damme. Actually, Van Damme gets involved because they're going after, they kill this guy who has some information that I don't remember the guy's name. He's an overweight guy. Is it Douglas Force? Is it Frick? I don't think it's Frick. It's not Van Cleef because that's Arnold Vosloo. I don't know what the guy's name is. The actor. Maybe it's Mr. Lopaki. Robert Apisa. I think it's Poe. Well, I can't remember. But anyway, it's this fat guy with a mustache. And he's selling these. He's a porno guy, and he's paying these homeless people to send out his flyers and stuff like that. And he's also working on the side with Fouchon, played by Lance Henriksen. So Van Damme and Yancy Butler, along with this cop played by Cassie Lemmons, who I think she did a really good job. I liked her. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. Now, what's going on with her father who got murdered? Because Van Damme finds out that there was another dog tag that the police didn't find at the scene of the crime that had an arrow puncture wound in it. And, that it looked like something punched through it. So he was murdered. So they do the investigation that lead to this guy who they think will give them some information. The fat guy with the mustache. I'm sorry, I don't remember his fucking name. I know. It's like, what? Who is this guy? Maybe they have it here. Randall. They're Randall. That's who it is. All right, Randall Poe. That is it. Elliot Keener. Okay. So Randall Poe, who's the porno guy, they go to try to visit him. He realizes things are going down really fast. The shit's gonna hit the fan. So he tries to get out of it. Tries to get away. Earlier, he got his ear cut off by Arnold Vosloo in a scene, and that scene was cut. In the uncut version, you literally do see him cut his ear off. In the theatrical version, it's just implied. You really don't see his ear get cut off. The tip of his ear get cut off. And it worked for Reservoir Dogs, but Reservoir Dogs did that later, I think. Remember correctly. I don't think Reservoir Dogs came out until before or after Hard Target. Maybe it was... No, yeah, that came out before Hard Target. It was 1992. And that was John Woo's homage to Reservoir Dogs. The ear scene. That was left in that movie in the theater. But no, Universal's like, cut that. They didn't even tell John Woo what to cut, so we just cut that because it's violent, it's bloody. Because we can't stomach a little bit of blood. And so he gets it. I like the line that Arnold Vosloo has. It's like, you better get it right next time. Well, next time I'm gonna cut me a steak. Because he's like, next time I'm gonna cut me a steak. It's like, yeah, I'm not gonna cut an ear this time. I'm gonna cut a steak. I like that one. There's a good amount of fun lines and some awesome action scenes in this movie. Badass martial arts stuff. The scene where Van Damme sees that these asshole guys are thinking about robbing Yancy Butler because they saw her get change for 100 at a diner, kicks their asses. It's great. It's awesome. Typical Van Damme martial arts. It's really awesome stuff. And it's like, what's you and your boyfriend? I'm just trying to find the line of dialogue. Just trying to find it. Yeah, he's like, Randall, I come back here. I cut me a steak. That's what the line is from someone. Now take your pig stick and your boyfriend and find a bus to catch. I like that. And they kicks their asses. Just, only in the unique way that only Van Damme could kick ass. And so then you have cool action scenes like that. Then they have the whole thing with this. Randall's trying to get away. He gets met up by Arnold Vosloo, and he's like, Randall, you were going to leave without saying goodbye, huh? My mama got sick in Biloxi. I was going to call you, Mr. Van Cleef. Of course you were, Randall. Of course you were. I know you didn't mean to hurt my feelings. Because that's a little repeated line that Van Cleef has. I know you didn't mean to hurt my feelings. And he just blows his fucking head off with a shotgun. And I think the uncut version has a little bit more to that too. And at this point in time, Van Damme, Chance Boudreaux, Yancy Butler, Nat, Natasha Bender, and Cassie Lemmons' character, Mae Mitchell, are trying to go up and they're trying to find this Poe guy to get some information. They see him get murdered. So this leads into a scene where Mae Mitchell Cassie Lemmons' character actually gets shot and killed by Fouchon's men, and Van Damme kicks some more ass, fucks up this guy on a motorcycle on the scene I like, and then he goes in and grabs Yancy Butler, get on the back of a bike, and they're in a really fun motorcycle chase scene. Which, there's another thing that was cut out in this scene that makes no sense, just like the beginning where you see Chuck Ferrer fight back. Here, you have a scene where Van Damme shoots a car and it flips and it crashes and explodes, and for some reason it was cut out. It's not that long of a scene. It just adds more explosions to the movie. Like, you can never have enough explosions in an action movie, in my opinion. So why the fuck was that cut? So then, I love the motorcycle scene, the whole thing. The motorcycle's gas tank is shot and it's leaking gas. He gets on top of it. It's an excellent stunt. And basically he's going to ram the motorcycle into this van, and he stands on top of the motorcycle and shoots the guys inside the truck, inside the van, shoots them all dead, and then the motorcycle crashes into the van, and he does a leap, does a backflip over the top of the car, lands on his feet, and then he turns around, shoots the van with the bike that's leaking gas, and it goes boom. Big explosion. I like how Van Damme is just like, yeah! That's kind of how I felt about watching the movie, too. I'm like, yeah! It's badass. And also Van Damme's hairstyle in this. I mean, he rocks the mullet like nobody's business. That's one thing I think Kurt Russell could do too well, just about as well as Van Damme. Rock the mullet. If he wasn't a hard target. This is his original idea. I don't know if, he could definitely rock the mullet too. But anyway, this then leads to the whole scene where I love this stuff where Van Damme's running away from explosions in the background. Gets the Yancy Butler. Lance Henriksen is pissed. Loads his rifle, loads his bullet, loads his gun. He's going to shoot him. And I love Van Damme talking to Yancy Butler. They're looking over this bridge. This train's going by. And he's like, ladies first. What? What do you mean, ladies first? Ah! He grabs her and they jump off the bridge onto a moving train. And they land safely. Of course, this pisses off Lance Henriksen. And I love seeing Lance Henriksen pissed off in this movie. It's great. I especially love the line of dialogue later in the film that he has. And some great stuff. I mean, the whole stuff where so anyway, so after that, after they escape from the train, Van Damme decides to go and visit his Uncle Duvet, played by Wilford Brimley. And I like Wilford Brimley. I didn't mind his character. I liked him. He was a likable character. So they go through this, the bayou. There's that scene, you see that scene where Van Damme, the snake tries to go after Yancy Butler. He grabs it, he punches it, knocks it out, and then he rips its rattle off with his bare teeth, And the snake was animatronic. It was actually a pretty good looking effect. And he uses the snake as a trap to have some of these poor hunter guys get bit in the face. And then you have the whole thing where he goes to find his Uncle Duvet. His Uncle Duvet gives him his old shotgun. I like the scene where he blows the dust off of it. Really nice artistic touch. Typical John Woo type thing, slow motion. Actually a really beautiful shot. And then it leads to this badass Mardi Gras showdown at this Mardi Gras graveyard. And I like the whole scene, as this is the line of dialogue after Duvet sets up a trap and blows up his still, which he's using to make some moonshine, and it blows up, fucks up some of the hunters, and I love Lance Henriksen's lines here. He's like, "You are a fucking buffalo." I mean, it's so absurd. I just laugh my ass off every time when Lance Henriksen's like, "You are a fucking buffalo." So then at least the Mardi Gras Showdown was just fucking badass. The theatrical version is cool. It's fun. But the uncut version is so much better. It's not even funny. There's so much more blood squibs. The whole thing with Sven Thorsen, the guy with the guy where Van Damme, after he kills him, he's like, "Sorry about the shit." That guy, that scene is 10 times more badass in the uncut version because he pumps him full of way more bullet hits before he kicks him in the face. And it's just epic. And even does the same with the motorcycle guy, which I always find that funny. There's this guy in the motorcycle helmet that just completely shows up continuously throughout the whole movie. He just won't fucking die. And then I love how even after he kills Sven Thorsen, says, "Sorry about the shirt," this guy shows up again, and Van Damme just calmly shoots his ass, and then he's like, "Give it a rest, pal." And then fucking kills him. I love that line. He's like, "Give it a rest, pal." And then, of course, lead to the final showdown. Man, and then the uncut version is so much better. He's shooting more people. There's more bullet hits. There's more bullet squibs. It's on par with the end of Hard Boiled, in my opinion, with the shootout in terms of the bullet hits. It really is. It's at least some of the shootout scenes. Hard Boiled is definitely more violent than this and the uncut version. But that was in Hong Kong, and that worked for Hong Kong and got R-rated. But the U.S., oh no, we're gonna be a bunch of pussies. This is the Motion Picture Association of assholes. So it just pains me. It sucks. I love the uncut version, but it also sucks because the uncut version is in like grainy video quality. It's not in good quality. It's got time bars on the top and the bottom, and it's the only and that's it. There's no other version that's like in better quality except for the director's cut, I think, from overseas, which don't have. But even that doesn't have all of the scenes. So and then the final shootout, the shootout between Van Damme and between Chance and Van Cleef. Boudreaux, Boudreaux, Boudreaux. I've been looking all over for you. You've been looking in the wrong places. That's good, because I know you wouldn't want to hurt my feelings. And that shootout is just epic. It's like there's so much more added to it. More shooting, more gunplay, more bullet hits. It's unbelievable, really. And when he slides underneath and he fucks up, when he just uses the two guns and pumps Arnold Vosloo with so much lead, he could be a fucking lead pencil. It's there's more added to it. There's even more bullet squibs. And, a little bit more added to the whole scene about how he got his grenade, how he got that grenade that he used later in the film. And, excuse me, I'm just stupid allergies being dumb. But anyway, and then after he fucks up Van Cleef, he fucks up everybody, all of the fucking hunter guys, the guys who are hunting Van Damme. And I like the stuff where Wilford Brimley, he shoots one guy through the neck. That's another scene in the uncut version where there's more to it. You actually see more of the arrow through the guy's neck, not just a little bit of it. And so he's getting his licks in. Even Yancy Butler gets to shoot some guys. Like, you fucking bitch. She fucking grabs a gun and shoots his ass. Probably a homage to Hard Boiled. And I like the whole thing where Natasha Binder's talking to Duvet. He's been shot in the leg. It's like, can you get up? I cannot dance, but I can get up. So, did enjoy that. And then, so I'm just trying to see if there's any more quotes. Oh yeah, then Van Damme goes after Fouchon, Lance Henriksen. He fucks him up, lights his coat on fire, like the whole thing where he's all like, ah, fuck, I'll rip his fucking head off. I like that. You don't want to piss off Lance Henriksen. And then, Van Damme then gets in the whole thing with Lance Henriksen. He's hiding in the background. He's got the shotgun. And Lance Henriksen, he's all like, sorry about the whole nose. Fuck. Just out of nowhere. And Lance Henriksen, then he's all like, talking to him. He's like, I don't lose. I never lose. And I love how Van Damme's like, and I think that's a scene that was cut too in the theatrical version. There was more to that scene where he's saying, I don't lose. Will not fucking lose to you, pretty much. I've killed people in every country, pretty much. And, but anyway, I like the whole thing where Lance Henriksen gets the upper hand. He stabs Duvet in the chest in the arrow, gets Nat, and he, sorry, it's fucking allergies. Fuck you, God. What the fuck? Come on, I know this line is in here. I saw it. Ridiculous. Okay, fuck. Whatever. Anyway, can't find the fucking line for some reason. I saw it. Anyway, he goes in, and I like the whole thing where, he's like, What are you doing here? You could have just... I know that fucking line is here. Find it. Bullshit. There it is. You see, Miss Bender, you I can understand. It was a matter of family. You had nothing in common with those people. What made you want to complicate my life like that? Poor people get bored too. Oh, that's the line I was looking for. And then you get into that's the one thing about the uncut version, like I mentioned, that isn't on par with the actual version. And the uncut version, you don't have the final showdown between Van Damme and Lance Henriksen. You know, the stuff with the burning board, he's fucking him up, kick him in the face. He does. You just see the jump kick that he does, and he does a few more flips in the air before he does it. And he's like, drop the weapon. You know, and then he ends up kicking him in the chest before he can shoot him. But then he just grabs a grenade and calmly just throws it, and then he blows up, and that's it. There's none of the awesomeness where he punches Vance Henriksen in the face, kicks him in the face, you know, the typical Van Damme type stuff, fucks him up with the burning board. None of that. And then not the awesome one-liner either, where he punches Vance Henriksen in the face. He grabs the grenade. He clicks pulls a pin out, and I like the slow motion in that. Drops in his pants. He's like, hunting season is over. Boom! It kicks his ass into a bunch of Mardi Gras floats. And then I like the whole thing where Lance Henriksen, I like this little bit of a scene, it's different. Lance Henriksen's trying to take out the fuse and a grenade. He's like, he's got it. He's like, ha ha ha, ha. He's like, ha ha ha. I can't do Lance Henriksen's laugh. It's like, oops, blows his ass up, and then Chance and he goes up to his Uncle Duvet. He's like, Uncle Duvet, you okay? He wakes up. He's good. He's still alive, and they get up and they walk out of the Mardi Gras graveyard safe and sound. And then you have Kurt's Clearwater Revival's Born on the Bayou, the end credits. Great song choice for the end credits. Born on the Bayou. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, I remember it from Return of the Swamp Thing because I grew up with that one, with that movie. But anyway, that's Hard Target. The theatrical cut and the uncut version. I've compared the theatrical cut. I've compared the uncut version. And yeah, sorry about the stuff in between later at the end where I kind of lost energy because all of a sudden, allergies decided that, hey, I'm going to smack you right in the face. I'm here. Ah! I get it. I understand. But anyway, Hard Target. Excellent movie. The theatrical cut is a good movie. I'd rate it 4 out of 5 stars. But the uncut version, I rate it 5. Even with the bad ending, because I can just add later and I can make my own cut, which I'm going to do with scenes from the theatrical cut and the unrated cut. But the unrated cut is just so much more badass. It's not even funny. The theatrical cut's good, but when you've seen the unrated cut, the theatrical cut kind of doesn't cut it as much anymore. You'd rather watch the unrated cut because you just see so many more blood hits, blood squibs. You see so many more bullet hits. You see so much more, especially in the Mardi Gras graveyard shootout at the end, that it's no contest. And you watch the theatrical cut and you're just watching it, and every time you see it, you're like, well, that got cut out. Why was that cut out? Why isn't this here? You're watching the theatrical cut and every scene you see, you're seeing a cut scene in your head. You're just seeing a scene that got cut. And that's not necessarily the most entertaining experience because your brain is already like, hey, there's more to the scene than this. Damn it. But anyway, it's kind of frustrating. But anyway, yeah, I really like Hard Target. I really like the theatrical cut. But the director's cut is, in my opinion, the uncut version, not the director's cut. The director's cut doesn't have all the stuff the uncut work print version does. But the uncut work print version NC-17 version, which isn't really NC-17. It could be easily just R-rated nowadays. I think it's on par with Hard Boiled as one of John Woo's best. And it's a crying shame that his first movie he came to do in Hollywood was cut to shreds by the Motion Picture Association of assholes who didn't even give him any idea what they wanted him to cut. So it ends up with the theatrical version, which you can understand now why it looks kind of disjointed and the cuts are weird and it looks kind of off, is because it was cut. No wonder. No shit. But anyway, thanks for watching my review of Hard Target. And I will see you guys later. See you.